If you would like to build this Batman bus that you just saw in the lead-in for this video, you can find building instructions for it on Rebrickable, and the designer for this custom Lego model is Glenn Tanner. I will put a link to this page in the description of the video so that you can find it. Alternatively, if you own the Batman helmet and you would like to go with just the face mod that you can see here, Glenn has published free instructions for that mod, which are again available on Rebrickable. And I also featured the face mod in a video that I made last year, so I'll put links to both the Rebrickable page for the face mod instructions and a link to my original video in the description of this video below. What I'd like to do now with the rest of this video is to show you the key build stages involved with building the full bust model, and then wrap up with some concluding thoughts that are going to be good for you to know if you like what you see and you would like to build this too. This build uses 1,369 parts, with the total cost of parts coming in at around about 300 to 340 Australian dollars. I found Glenn's instructions to be clear and very easy to follow. Steps 1 to 18 involve beefing up the existing stand that comes with the Batman helmet so that it can support the bust extension. And for noting, I added an extra 2x4 plate and brick to the underside center of the stand for extra strength. Moving on, steps 19 to 47 involve building the core structure of the bust. And then steps 48 to 82 have you building the two side extensions of the bust. Now looking at this footage, you may be thinking, why am I wearing gloves for this build? The reason is this helps prevent me from getting grease and fingerprints on the model, which is particularly important for builds that include large sections of black or other dark colored Lego parts, like this build will have in future stages. Steps 83 to 172 involve building the top of the torso of the model, and to me this is starting to look really good. I particularly like the use of a variety of slope elements to create the interesting shaping that will become the top of Batman's cape. And it's also at this stage you may have noticed that I've deviated from Glenn's instructions by making part color changes to ensure the sections that I build have consistent coloring. As I personally don't like using off-color scheme parts in my builds, I think it's unnecessary and can at times cause issues if those off-color parts are not 100% covered up in the finished model. Steps 173 to 213 cover building the two shoulder assemblies, and I like Glenn's clever use of gussets under the shoulder assemblies to ensure they are correctly angled down and they are strong. Steps 214 to 342 have you building the torso, and to me this is looking superb, and in particular I love the detailing and use of yellow parts to provide highlights for the bat motif that we can see on the chest of the model. Steps 343 to 419 involve building the pouches, and I feel the use of dark tan colored parts for these assemblies is very striking and is a good choice. And I also like the way the pouches wrap around the lower waist section of the model. Steps 420 to 615 involve building the cape that will be attached to the rear of the model, and building this was incredibly involved, and I think Glenn has done an excellent job at using a variety of sloped and curved elements to give the cape its correct shaping and interesting textures. Steps 616 to 625 have you adding several parts to the underside of the head so that you can socket it onto the top of the bust. I'm incredibly happy with the finished model, and I feel like this Batman bust is going to sit very well with the Darth Vader bust that I built last year. I feel both models have this quality and presence to them that immediately draw your eyes to them when they're on display. It's my hope this video has inspired you to build this Batman bust, or perhaps try out one of the other similar bust models that Glenn has designed for the range of official Lego helmet sets. I think if you go ahead and build one of Glenn's bust models, particularly some of his more recent offerings, I think you'll be very happy with the result. Now, if you do decide to build this particular Batman bust, I thought I'd share 2 tips with you before I wrap up. When you buy the instructions and create your associated wanted list in BrickLink to buy the parts you'll need to build the model, I recommend before buying the parts, you have a look through the instructions and then switch out all of the blue, white, and other off-color parts that Glenn has listed in the inventory to be instead in black and light bluish gray per the instruction steps where those off-colored parts are used. That way, you don't run the risk of those off-colors being visible in the finished model. Now, I of course appreciate they shouldn't be visible and probably won't be, so this step is perhaps unnecessary. It's just something that I would recommend, like me, if you want a no compromises perfect model. The second thing I would do is to over order on the required quantities of all of the black colored sloped elements and tiles. The reason for this is that black parts, even when ordered new, are notorious for showing up scratches, so it's always handy to have a few spare parts of each black colored element so that you can be selective with the parts that you use when you're building the model. With those 2 tips given, that is all for the video, but of course, if you have questions, I'm always happy to help. So feel free to leave a comment on the video with your question and I'll endeavor to get back to you. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.